Now that the jury has come down with the decision, there is a lot of conversation about how is this going to affect us in our real estate business. Honestly, I really don't think it's going to affect us that much for several reasons. Number one, we have the consumer notice. On that consumer notice, which document is supposed to be provided at the first substantive conversation regarding real estate, that document lets the consumer know that unless or until they sign an agency document to hire that licensee, that no contractual relationship exists. It also talks about their right to be represented by a real estate professional in the different agency categories. It also talks about those items that are negotiable, such as the length of the contract, the services provided in the contract, and the licensee's fee or commission. Next, you have the buyer's agency agreement, which also talks about compensation. It states that it is the brokerage's practice to accept the compensation or the commission offered by the listing broker. However, if the listing broker does not offer a commission, then that buyer is going to be responsible for that commission. Third, we have the listing agreement or the marketing agreement. It also states compensation. I know our marketing agreement says that the agent's fee and the length of the contract have not been recommended or established by any association of realtors or any other entity, but they are the result of negotiations between the seller and the agent. There is a space that we disclose that we're going to share a portion of the commission or fee that we earn with the buyer's broker. Now, that's where the conflict comes in some folks' mind. But if you pay me money, you pay me a fee, it then becomes my money. I am free to do with it however I want to do with it. But because the rules state that we have to disclose that we're going to share it with the buyer side, that's where things get a little hairy. But here's how I address it. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're going to offer your property for sale in the multiple listing service. It's going to be competing with other properties. These agents are going to be looking at these listings, and they're going to look at what the compensation is. They're going to have to present that to their clients. They're going to have to let their clients know that, hey, this one isn't offering any commission, or this one is only offering XYZ commission, and you're going to be responsible for the full commission or the difference between what they're offering and what our office will accept. If that buyer can afford it, great, no harm, no foul. But if that buyer cannot afford it, that's where the problem's going to come in. Either your property's not going to be shown, or it's going to be at the bottom of the list, or that buyer's going to ask you for a seller's assist, or that buyer is going to be unrepresented. Did you ever think that buyer agency came into existence for a reason? There was once a time in history where buyers were not represented. Everybody worked for the seller. I don't see us going back to a time where buyers are going to be unrepresented. Additionally, there are entities that exist solely for the protection of the consumer. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's to look out for the consumer. Even in our industry, we have RELRA, which is the Real Estate Licensing and Registration Act. The consumer is the focus of that. We also have the Real Estate Commission rules and regulations, and we also have the Code of Ethics. All of these have the consumer in mind. I believe the biggest issue that we're going to face are those entry-level buyers or who barely have enough funds. If they now have to come up with this additional funds to compensate their agent, a lot of them are going to put off buying. So don't panic. The other thing about this case, it ain't over. The fat lady has not sung. There's going to be an appeal. It's already been stated. They're going to appeal. How long that appeal is going to take, we don't know. This just means that we have to tighten up our belt as agents, as the professionals that we are, and represent our clients well. I hope that this has been beneficial. Be sure to follow, be sure to like, be sure to comment, be sure to share, and don't just stare.